Welcome to AGD Talk. I am Jamie Browning. I am here today with Larry, the glass guy. Larry, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's nice to be on it. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us up and letting us set up here with our little makeshift studio.
Anytime.
Otherwise, we would have had to fly you down, and we don't have the budget for that.
No.
So we had a lot of people reach out to me. We always put stuff out there and say, hey, if you want to see something, whatnot, send me an email. So some people on social media and some emails and actually a couple text messages. Who is this guy, Larry? He's all over the forums. He's all over the social media. You're an admin on, I would say, probably the largest Facebook auto glass tech group.
I would say that's correct.
Creeping up on a couple thousand members now.
Yeah, and that's real users too.
Yeah. So you do vet the people that pretty thoroughly.
Oh yeah, and we get a lot of spam, and as being an admin, sometimes you just really got to delve deep into their profile to make sure that it's not a scammer or some supplier just trying to dump junk product.
Right. So we had quite a few people reach out. They're like, who is this guy? I was like, actually, I can get him on, I think. And you agreed, bravely enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we will we'll dig into that. So first, I guess, tell us a little bit about your auto glass background.
I started auto glass in '92. I was working for a guy doing just door glasses with him. And he decided he was going to get into the used car business. And he said he was going to get rid of his glass company. We bought the company, and I've been in the glass business since.
Wow.
On and off for myself. I worked for myself prior for 15 years.
Not too shabby. So you definitely have a pretty good background and understanding of the auto glass industry, and you seem to be pretty vocal about your opinion. So what kind of feedback do you get from other people on?
Well, sometimes I'm over vocal. Obviously, me and you have gone around before.
We have definitely butted heads in the past.
So. And I would say you're a good friend now. So, I mean, it's really weird. People that haven't met me in person may not get me. But then people that I meet that are like, I can't stand them. And then they meet me like, oh, well, I get you. You're just out there.
You are probably like that little piece of personality that most of us wish we had, but we are a little more reserved than to just be a little unfiltered or a lot unfiltered.
I'm a lot unfiltered.
Yeah, and I guess that has definitely its advantages and disadvantages. It seems to get stuff done. So, like I said, sometimes I wish I could do that. Unfortunately, my personality and my position don't allow for that all the time. So I guess it's kind of good to be able to just say what you want.
Sometimes it can get you in trouble, though. I've definitely said things that I probably would take back. Maybe. I don't know. I probably would still say them. That's just the way I am. I'm very vocal. Something's wrong, I'm going to call it right out.
Yeah. So there are, like we said earlier, there are close to 2,000 members on this. You want to give the page a plug here?
Oh, yeah. It's facebook.com/Autoglass Tech Group.
Okay. And there's a ton... there's such a wealth of knowledge on there that I think I'm on there as well. I'm not an admin. I just kind of look. I'll answer questions if I have time or if I see something come up. But if you had to pay for that service, that would be something that someone would have to pay a ton of money to have access to that kind of information, because someone will post anything about the auto glass industry, and when there's 2,000 people that look at that, someone has an answer.
Oh, and I had a tech that ran into something the other day, and I said, you know what? I said, get on the Auto Glass Tech Group and ask. I said, because within minutes, you're going to have multiple people that are going to give you an answer, and then you can take, if you got 15 people telling you one thing and one person telling the other, you probably use the law of averages that you're probably the 15 people are right, and the other one maybe half right or whatever. But it's a good knowledge base. And there's some banter in there too, but there's a lot of good advice. There's stuff that I'd never even thought of that I see somebody doing. It's like, wow, how could I have never seen that? And it's a really good resource for people to put up their tech tips and videos and stuff. I seen a guy taking a molding off of a Focus, and I never slid one down in my life ever. I didn't even know you could do it, and it made it so simple. It's like, wow, how have I not known this?
Yeah, and I say all the time, I mean, I'm creeping up on that 30-year mark, and I can go work, and I still like to get out as much as I can and put glass in or ride with someone or do whatever. I never want to move away from that part. I always want to have my hands on something because I want to stay current. But I can ride with someone or be around someone that has 6 months experience and learn something.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's, it's a really good resource. So if you're listening on iTunes or Android, Google Play, visit the website. We'll put the link on there. If you're watching, the link should be right here. So click that or just copy paste. Go to the Facebook group. It doesn't. I mean, if someone sends a request, how long does it take before?
Well, there's 3 of us admins. It's generally answered with, in a couple 3 hours.
Yeah, so it's
give or take. We're spread across a couple time zones, so.
Yeah, and it's a really good resource. You definitely have a lot of interesting characters in there. There seems to always be a subject of the week or something. I think this week it's a round bead, and don't get me started on that one. But yeah, so lots of good information in there.
The best thing for me is if you have a problem with a product. And let's say you went to a rep and you said, hey, I have this problem. And they say, Jamie, I'm sorry, that's just you. I've never heard of that before. Now you can go to the forum and say, I always say, go to your rep first if you have a problem with the product. And then, if they dismiss it, go ahead and ask. And, I guarantee, most of the time when I've had a problem with something and I post it and I say, this, of course they say this has never happened before. Then there's always 3 or 4 people right off the bat that have had the same problem as me, but their reps don't communicate with the other ones. So it's a good way for, if you got a problem with the product, like quality issue, if you give them the feedback to the rep and they're not responsive, that, you can reach out and find out are other people having this issue so they can be corrected before it's 6 months down the road to where everybody realizes a problem that you knew about today.
Yeah, and that's another bonus to that group. I certainly don't want to sit here and talk about the group all night.
Oh, I know.
Although it's great, but that's another thing. There are so many owners and representatives from the adhesive side, the tool side, the supply side for the windshields. You can get some really good feedback really fast, and I always suggest use the proper channels first.
Absolutely.
Don't just fly off the handle. Usually organizations are really large, so the actions of one person does not represent the entire company. And also, hey, I see people that give praise as well to products and people on there that are doing a good job. So it's not all negative. It's just somewhere, if you have an issue, you can really, really reach the right people almost instantly.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back in a few minutes. We're going to discuss the industry and a few other topics. I know you got some stuff that you want to talk about as well. Surprising there that you want to talk
Voice
about
my
it.
opinion.
Yeah. So we will be right back.
Are you looking for a windshield setting device that not only saves stress on your body, but is designed to set the windshield back to the exact factory location? Rolodeck is the only premium setting device that attaches to the vehicle without relying on suction cups. It also adjusts to the windshield being replaced for a precise factory alignment with the replacement. Now available at most auto glass suppliers, or visit Rolodeck.net for instructional videos and purchase options.
Welcome back. We are here with Larry, the glass guy. Larry, all right, so tell us a little bit about what you see wrong with the industry and what you see right with the industry.
I would say the things I see wrong is people turning vehicles loose way too quick, with a slow cure urethane, and people just aren't informed. I feel like just from reading things that people post and stuff, people have no clue what cure times are on products they're using, and I think it's really disturbing.
However, I will counter you on that. I will say that over especially the last 10 years, but more so the last 5 years, that has jumped a lot. Although it still has a long way to go, I think that's there's been a lot of good focus from the adhesive manufacturers, all the R&D. I mean, it wasn't 5-10 years ago we were looking at stuff where it had like a 12-hour drive away time. So they're putting a lot of effort into it. It's one of those things, it's going to be slow to get the word out, but it could be a lot better than what it is. So yeah, education is obviously very important.
Yeah, training your techs on the adhesive.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because every adhesive manufacturer that I've ever dealt with, in whatever capacity, they all have a certification program and no one charges for that. So if you're out there and you're certified, but you haven't, I think the reps would agree with this, although I'm not going to speak for them. I think you should really get your certification every year, or maybe not so much every year, but every time a new product comes out, you need to have your certification.
I believe the product I use, I believe it's every year. I believe it might be 2 years.
Yeah, so even better if they're already, saying that's the case. But if you're listening, if you're watching and you're not certified with your adhesive, get on the phone, because I guarantee you they will be more than helpful to help you along with that, because in the long run it saves them problems, because you're not going to call them with a million questions or complain about something because you weren't doing it correctly.
Right. And if you don't know who your rep is from your adhesive company, I suggest you figure out who it is and put them in your phone, because when you have a question, it's good to reach out to your rep. I know that I've reached out to my rep multiple times, and sometimes it was something that I had, something I was doing wrong.
Hold on a second. Take a note there. So on this day in history, Larry said that he did something wrong.
That's right. I absolutely did something wrong, and I didn't know. I didn't know any better until somebody showed me. It's like, wow. It's like I am causing my own problem on this particular product.
Right. Yeah, so very important. I stress that a lot when I do training or speak somewhere. Certifications for your adhesive manufacturer. That is the single most important, in my opinion, certification that you can get, because it's something you deal with every day, and that's what saves lives.
Yeah, and it'll cover, pretty much everything from a gasket installation to whatever, at least the manufacturers that I'm trained on, which I won't give them a free plug, but
send us a check, and Larry will mention your adhesive as many times as you want. So just send me a check. The address is down below. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, especially dealing with rust. That's another big one that I see, sometimes isn't done properly, but adhesive representatives will certainly, I think all of the major adhesive companies have some kind of procedure for rust. So you really need to be familiar with that, especially like I'm southeast on the coast, so we have a ton of rust there.
You know what, where we're located here, but they're not really seeing too many rust cars. Of course, a lot of the vehicles we're working on are insurance claims or fleet vehicles, so we're dealing with a newer vehicle. I will say one of my biggest pet peeves, come to think about it, besides the cure time, is like, okay, take for example, your window gets beat in with a baseball bat. I personally will not work on the car unless it comes to our body shop and has the dash pulled and has the vents cleaned out. That just drives me absolutely nuts. I will not put anybody back on the road because I do not want that liability of it coming back to bite me. Maybe I'm a little overprotective, but I've seen glass blow up on people before, well after, you think you vacuumed it all out. You never know until you've completely dismantled that.
Yeah, that can definitely be a tough one when you have so much smushed laminated glass down into the defroster ducts or vents or whatnot, or really anywhere in the car. I mean, you can spend as much time vacuuming and cleaning glass as replacing the windshield.
Yeah, I don't think people think about that. But it's, you hit a bump 6 months later and the glass comes blowing out on you. That's when you think about it. I don't know that there's been a lawsuit yet, but you never know. It's always good to protect yourself against anything.
Yeah, so I think probably for me, I don't necessarily want to say that it's what's wrong with the industry, but something that could be improved is consumer awareness. Everybody needs to know how important that windshield is. I think our industry has not done a very good job of that. I think there are avenues that could be used to help inform the public that certainly would not have a very large budget, to take care of that. But, it's tough. I mean, you can't have a commercial in the Super Bowl, but there certainly are ways to get that message out there that, that doesn't cost a lot.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And also I would say another big problem with our industry is if you look at all the organizations, I know I personally over the years have belonged to just about everything out there, and not one single one of them I have seen, besides something I won't even mention that I thought was a joke of way to get it out to the public. Nobody has really ever taken that money back out and said, let's make the consumer aware. They never don't reinvest. You give money to XYZ group and they don't give it back. They anything they're going to do is kept internally, and it's okay, get some PSAs or something like that where inform consumers. Let's not have it to be where there's another 2020 that has to affect our industry.
Which was a crazy video in multiple ways. If you have not seen that, it's kind of old, but it definitely pushed the industry in the correct direction. I know pinch weld primer sales went through the roof immediately after that, which is, a good thing. And to be honest with you, I don't really know where the fault lies if you have technicians that don't know from that they just honestly do not know. I mean, I guess that goes back on their manager or business owner or whoever. But if you know and you still do it incorrectly, then that certainly falls on you.
That's absolute negligence. That's why, being certified by your adhesive company, no matter what adhesive company it is absolutely something that you should do with all your techs. And like you said, I've never seen a company charge for it.
No, not at all. And if they do, then maybe you should ask why.
Yeah, mine coming brought me breakfast and trained me.
Oh wow!
So I mean, I'm thinking about getting trained every week.
Right? Is that? Can you send a text message and get some donuts here right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a new tech.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, get everyone in the office certified. I know I spoke about that on my social media Monday. That was a question that was sent in. Get your customer service representatives certified so they can be more informed when talking to customers on the phone. That will certainly help increase your conversion rates. Anyone that's involved in your auto glass company, they should be certified because you can't have too much knowledge,
especially the CSR, because that's the main point for the consumer. And if your CSR or your lead person answering the phone does not know the information to tell the customer, they might be telling them false information. Oh, you can drive your car right away, but because they don't know. Our receptionist CSR, she's certified, and a good amount of our body shop is certified too, because I feel it's important for them to know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and the customer service, I want, I guess if you haven't seen my social media Monday, I'll just speak on this for a quick second. I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but customer service representatives do not get the credit they deserve. They are the front line of the industry. You can have the best tech in the world, but if you have a customer service representative that's not the best, that technician is not going to be able to do the work. So they are the front line of the company. They need more respect. They need more knowledge there. It's 50-50 for me. You know, the customer service rep and the technician, they both
have to work together.
Correct. And we are actually looking at some video right now from, don't say anything. I'm going to, Larry does not know what video this is. I'm going to pop this video up and let him watch 5 seconds of this. And then you tell me what you think.
Oh, wow.
All right. So let's hear it. I want to hear, I don't want to have to use the beeper, but let's hear it. So what are your thoughts on that? And don't mention the video specifically. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but
I won't.
Just what you're seeing here in this video.
There is absolutely no way that this person was trained by their adhesive company, because every adhesive company that I've been trained by, which is 3 of them, the first thing they say is do not shoot a round bead, period. And they show you, the first manufacturer I was certified by, you know, they had a piece of glass, you know, they did a round into the, and then during the class, it was a CE class, and, you know, they were bringing it up, showing, you know, educating the consumers. If your adhesive company has a CE program, I highly suggest utilizing that. It's a good way to get the information out to agents. It costs a little bit, but it's well worth it. In some states, agents don't require CE, so they may not be willing to take it or don't waste their time. But it is a very informative, and the round bead thing was absolutely brought up in there. And you know, you can clearly see you're doing a clear glass, and you know the tear and all that things people don't think about. It's not, you know, can I pull it apart? Oh, I can pull this apart. It ain't that great, or this is not that different. But it's an instant pull apart. And see, you wouldn't maybe necessarily think about that. You know, if you got Jim Bob out there, will I put it apart? It really
is that someone from around here? Because that sounded
probably
like, okay. So Jim Bob and
Jim Bob
sounds just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense to Jim Bob.
Yeah, there are probably multiple Jim Bobs in the auto glass industry. So I see that a lot, and this is one of the. When I see this, I try to do one of 2 things, and both of those involve getting away from the computer. Because, you know, I am just as vocal as you are. I just try to channel it in a different direction, I guess. But I'll just touch on this really quick, and then I'll move on. There are people out there, and I know this is going to shock a lot of people. There are people out there that are way smarter than I am. And
wow, we've got to record that. Write that date down.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. That have PhDs and went to, you know, school like MIT or whatnot, and they have who knows how many, probably thousands if you look at all the adhesive companies together, of hours of research and development that have come together and said the triangle bead is what you should be using. I have been to, I'm not going to even sit here and try to count them. I've been to quite a few manufacturing facilities where the cars, I'm looking at the adhesive being applied right on the assembly line, and I can tell you that I have never seen a round bead put on a car at the factory. And the whole purpose behind replacing a piece of auto glass is to replicate the factory process. So until I see someone on the OE side running a round bead, I'm going to stick with what my adhesive manufacturers and all these really, really smart people that tested this stuff tell me, and that is the triangle bead. And I'll throw this out there. For each windshield, there are specific, you know, like dimensions for that,
right?
Which you can get from, you know, various sources. Usually it's the dealership, but it will tell you how many millimeters wide at the base, how many millimeters tall. So, but really the triangle bead is the way to go. I'm going to leave that there. Couple more subjects to talk about. We're going to take another commercial break here really fast. And when we come back, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to let you get some final thoughts in on there. And I have this button right here, which beeps. So hopefully I don't have to use that. But we will be right back, and we will wrap up with Larry, the glass guy.
Do you want to know how easy and effective advertising on Auto Glass Digest can be? Visit our website to fill out our advertising form or contact me directly at katie@autoglassdigest.com to find out how you can reach our audience throughout our various platforms and original video series.
Welcome back to Auto Glass Digest. We are here with Larry, the glass guy, AGD Talk. So we touched on a couple of light subjects there that I asked you what you thought was wrong with the industry.
Right.
Let's hear what you think the industry is doing in a good way. Oh man, you don't have to sit there and think about that one. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, but I mean, like I said, there are big steps being made, especially, talking about those adhesive manufacturers and the education side of it. But
the tools and stuff like you're talking about, the adhesive tools have come a long way too.
Very good point. Very good point. I know this is another subject, that I'm very passionate about, technician injury. Long term, short term, and there are really big strides in the tool industry. Setting devices, removal devices. I mean, we're seeing a lot of string and cord and such now. Are you using
I'm using
wire removal system?
Yes, I am right now, and also like a pinch like a urethane cut, and I'm using a scraper, and I'd never would never think of using something like that, and it works amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also use just a flat razor blade on a push, which is one of my favorite things to use. First time I seen somebody doing that, I thought, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But there's so many good things out there to where you're not scratching cars, and you're cleaning the urethane down nice and smooth. And I think that the tools part of the industry has really helped us a lot. I know my hands hurt a lot less by using a string or wire versus a typical cold knife.
Right. And so the removal, is the installs and the removals are getting more difficult by the model year. You have to be a lot, more aware because of damaging the paint, the electronics, all kinds of stuff going on in there, and which we'll definitely touch back on that in a minute. So yeah, the removal gets harder, the installation gets harder, but there are definitely big leaps to help you set the windshield in place before you're trying to lift up and lean over a car and then try to an average frit band on the sides, probably like 1.5 inches wide or something like that. You're trying to drop it right on top of or set it right on top of an adhesive bead. You're by yourself and you have trying to move it around. So definitely a lot of setting devices coming on the scene that's making it easier.
Oh, much easier. When you're using a product like that, you can get a more precise set. And also, like you're saying, like I like, because you're not leaning over like the hood or touching the hood, or like I know in the past, I've set in something before, I damaged a fender. I'm a big eye, leaning up against it. With tools like that and other setting tools, in all fairness, you could, be off the hood where you're not having to lean so much forward to set it.
Yeah, and that's something long term. I was like this. I see a lot of people, if I do training or social media, something like that, a lot of the younger guys are like, oh, it's not gonna, and then you have this old timer come on there, and I've been doing it 40 years and I don't have any problems. It's like, okay, well, that's great. You are one of, over 40 years. I'm sure there have been 100,000 technicians. So when I see people say stuff like that, it kind of, I don't want, I don't know. I mean, I guess, sure, it's great that you don't have those injuries and you do it this way, but I
You
don't
may be
want,
just unique.
yeah, I don't want to encourage everyone else. I mean, I have neck and back injuries from back, I was that gung-ho teenager, before there were any power tools or wire tools, you just got in there and pushed it out with your neck, and then, no big deal. And then now it's coming around.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody, sitting in a windshield now, you don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. I mean, I watched something where a guy was a crash test dummy. He was actually getting the cars that were crashing, and, he's surviving it. But the common person, that's not going to happen. So just because something's unique to you doesn't mean it's unique to everybody else. Not everybody's going to have the same, I mean, I pulled my back one time coughing. I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah. So I think most managers and business owners will get you those tools if you ask them. If you're a technician out there and you're wondering, I mean, some of them are a little bit pricey, but if you look at the big picture, you're seeing larger retail auto glass companies, that are getting this stuff for their technicians because they look at the long-term effects and the short-term. I mean, you have one guy hurt his back and he's out for months or something, then, that certainly costs everybody in the long run.
And then your workman's comp goes up.
Yeah.
And it's never ending, but if you can do things to try to prevent things from happening, it's obviously a benefit.
Yeah, and now backing up a little bit when I mentioned with all the electronic devices on the windshield, ADAS, that's the big subject now, but in my opinion, it should have been the big subject 2 years ago. So,
absolutely.
Another thing that the American auto glass market is lacking in, Europe has been doing it forever. ADAS addressing that issue and the calibration and all that.
We just got a thing down from one of our networks, and it's a letter they want the customer to sign. Anybody with ADAS, no matter what the year of the car is, that indemnifies, I don't know how to say that word right, the insurance company, the shop, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I don't know that would hold up in court. If you turn somebody loose and something happens, I don't know how good that's going to stick. I guess it's, a front line. I notified the customer, but yeah. I'm not sure how, I don't know how that would hold up in court.
I have a lot of strong opinions on that. I'll save them for a later date, but I don't think, really disabling that stuff and then sending someone down the road is a good idea. You should look into, taking care of that for yourself. As a shop, getting the equipment to do those calibrations yourself, or getting that car to the dealership or someone else that can do the calibration for you.
And I think one of the big things that people may not grasp yet is, like, take for example, the car you drove up here. There's like 6 different windshields for it with the lane departure, different size cameras, and sometimes data that gets published is incorrect. I highly suggest that everything you go to work on, if it's got some sort of special features like that, rather than saying, send me a picture, take the time, call your dealer, get the dealer part number, and correspond it back to the NAGS number. I have run into things multiple times where I went to get something approved by the insurance company and they said, hold up, we've never even heard of this. Nobody's used this part ever in our data, or only 4 people have used it. And it's like, well, that's what the dealer came back with, and that's what's going in the vehicle.
Right.
I think it's very important. You got to start off right by putting the correct part number in.
Yeah, I mean, the ADAS thing, that's something the industry needs to start spending some more time on. I've always felt like there should have been different things going on with that, but it's just been stagnant. It's getting a little talk recently. I have been doing a ton of research on it. I'm getting ready to I don't know if I would call it a full report, but an industry, we'll just call it a paper on the ADAS systems and what's not being done and what could be happening with that. So I have met with manufacturers of those components for any ADAS product, getting their feedback, and a lot of those guys are from Europe. They're very surprised at the lack of calibration availability in the United States, because there it's quite common. Dealerships are doing it, retail facilities are doing it.
Excuse me.
So they are just kind of surprised. I mean, we are Americans. No one does cars better than us. And everyone has cars here, so we're the leading country in automobiles.
And some dealers, you go to take something for recalibration, they don't even know what that is.
Yeah, and that surprises me also. They were the people that I spoke with, from Germany, a couple other places, they were very surprised about that. But it all goes back to, I feel like I'm touching on a lot of subjects that I have very strong opinions on.
You have a lot of strong opinions.
I do. I'm trying to be a little more reserved here. It could be the long drive up here. But insurance companies have to treat auto glass the same way they would treat any body repair on a vehicle. They expect people to come out to someone's house, put a windshield in, be done. For me, I've always thought a windshield replacement should be treated just like any body repair. Like if, the customer needs a rental car while it's being done or something, even if it's the same day or next day, or you run into a problem, there's rust or the correct part's not readily available, or you need a molding, because you're going to get a better install. I mean, I think that's what, a lot of times when I see moldings or something that's been held in place with urethane, sometimes that's just a lazy technician, but other times it's because they just didn't have the right stuff with them. And that's kind of what you have to do in that situation. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
So if it's treated, the windshield is such an important part of the safety of the vehicle, and it's not treated as such by the people determining the prices for those replacements.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate.
So, they need to step it up a little bit. Of course, they're in business to make money also, so they're always going to be looking for a more cost-effective solution. So, but something has to happen there. The auto glass industry needs a little more respect from those agencies.
Absolutely.
Agencies. We'll refer to them
agencies.
as agencies. But yeah, I mean, that, so there's a lot of stuff out there that could be better. There's a lot of stuff out there that's really good. The industry is moving along, just trailing a little bit in certain areas. So hopefully I can help with that and try to give it a little shove or something.
Oh yeah. If there's any, if you're out there and you have a tool, hey, they should reach out to you, because you do product reviews, which I think you do excellent unboxing and product reviews. And there's nobody else out there in the industry that first of all knows what they're talking about as far as that's on a large scale, like doing unboxings and stuff. I feel like you give a really good, it's a real good experience. You see from, get-go, real in-depth videos of that.
I definitely appreciate that. I try to get as many of those out as we can. It's very time consuming I want to say like a unboxing or a review video is like 10 minutes, but the amount of time that goes into getting that 10 minutes, the editing, the time, from just reaching out to the person to supply it in the beginning there's a lot of time in that. So those are I try to do as best as I can.
I definitely like watching. If somebody's out there got something, I'm sure that they could reach out to you, and
I'll take it.
we'd like to see anything.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting up I get a lot of questions about that from people, so I'm going to be putting up a section on the website specifically for that, explaining that entire process, because people always ask, this and this, and I just want to be, I'm always very upfront with that. I don't want anyone, to think something is going on or whatnot. So I want people to be able to see exactly how that review is done.
Yeah, I think from knowing you, I don't think you're biased. Like, I'm very biased. I will admit that I'm very biased and narrow-minded on certain things, urethanes, setting tools. But you know what? I'm willing to try anything, and then I may not necessarily want to spend the money to see something. Or sometimes if somebody posts a review of something, it's kind of like going to a restaurant with 10 reviews that isn't even open yet. You kind of wonder, is this real or is this fake? Or it's an unbiased, at least in my opinion, an unbiased opinion to, show me, and I really believe, when I see you using it, that it's not fluff.
Yeah, and I surprisingly, when I came up with that idea, a lot of people were like, "You're crazy. You're gonna make, enemies or friends or whatnot." And I was like, you know what? People want to see that. A majority of the stuff that I do, an unboxing or review of a product, are typically on the higher end. So if someone's going to go out and spend $500 to $2,000 on a product, I want them to be able to get a real review. I don't want them to say, this or that. So, but I was surprised, a few of the companies, when I did the review, they actually gave me a review and reverse.
A review of the review.
And they said, "Hey, we really appreciate your review. We actually changed this because of it." And it was nice to have someone from outside of the company looking in and saying, "Hey, you should take a look at this or this." And I've actually seen that transpire fully into a product with changes in it.
Oh, that's real cool.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say, but it's cool to say, hey, I kind of had
My biggest takeaway from your reviews is that you like a really good case for anything, whatever it is.
Hey, come on. You
got to have a real good case.
I do. I think that's my OCD there. That's I like everything in a neat and in a case and the van or truck in a specific area. So yeah,
and I don't think I have anything of mine in a case. If you look forward, I got one just sitting in the room.
I am when we get finished here, I'm going out without you going out ahead of me, and I'm going to open the doors on your van, and I'm looking around. I'm going to look in there, so you have no time to prep, and I might even take pictures and put them on our Facebook page or something, and let people see the inside of your van without any heads up. So. But yeah, I mean, I like that, and it looks good for the customers too. Like if you're taking out something that looks like you're getting ready to do surgery, it makes you look more professional, and then they're like, wow, hey, or maybe they don't even acknowledge it, but they see it and they're, hey, this is some fancy looking stuff.
Perception is a lot.
Yeah, that's perception goes a long way in the auto glass industry, whether it's your appearance down to the tools or your vehicle, which I'm getting ready to find out about your vehicle. Yeah, clean vehicle, clean clothes, dress nice, speak professionally, you'll go a long way with the customer on that stuff.
Unless you shoot around bead.
That's right. Well, unfortunately, customers don't even know that's a bad thing. So, but we are working on some video content to educate customers as well. That's a very big project. So when that stuff gets all wrapped up, we are certainly going to throw it out for everybody to grab and take free of charge. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So hopefully it gets distributed and people can just go to it and watch it, and customers can look at it, and it will help your company. I mean, if the customer knows what needs to be done for it to be a good, install. And I'm not saying your customer needs to be certified and know every single detail, but there are some very big, red flags out there to look for. So, if you're telling your customer, hey, watch this, and, it will certainly, I know if I went to buy product X and one company was just giving me a price and telling me, especially an extremely low price, and then another company had a very informative presentation with customer service representative, and hey, check this stuff out, this, even if you don't use us, watch this, and then it will help you make an informed decision. I'm definitely going with that company because they're selling me on not even selling me.
Right. That's a very good point. That all goes with having your CSR know about the business.
Right.
It's not just pick up the phone, hey, what you want? Or let me give you a quote. They need to be able to be informed to talk to the customer.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one. So we are going to wrap it up. I definitely appreciate you having me up here. It was a very long journey. So there's a big bag. I had a nightmare at the rental car company. So I am over that, and we'll probably.
I'm not over it.
I did not.
I'm even going to call him.
No, yeah.
Don't make me sick, Larry, on you.
Yeah, I did not get the $9 a day insurance, so I won't be doing donuts in the parking lot on the way out or anything. But yeah, so it's definitely been a long day. I really appreciate, like I said, inviting us up, letting us in here, and sitting down, and maybe we'll have to get you in here again and do some Q&A with the social media people.
That'd be good.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks again. And for Larry, the glass guy, I am Jamie Browning, Auto Glass Digest, AGD Talk. Thanks for listening or watching. Visit the website for more information and links to the podcast. And we will see you back here next time.